And I'm about to ask Maurice Jones-Drew this question as well as he joins us here on the Rich Eisen Show. Maurice, I'm going to ask this right off the bat. What I asked Irv and Marshall, how come teams like the Falcons cannot find Julio Jones with the regularity that Big Ben keeps sending to his guy that he knows is going to be double covered half the time?
Well, I feel like Big Ben forces the ball to Antonio Brown. Sometimes it works. Well, majority of the time it works. Other times it doesn't, Rich. So I think with Matt Ryan, they're trying to run the ball. They're trying to use play action pass, and Matt Ryan's not trying to literally just force feed Julio Jones, which I would love him for him to do because he is on one of my fantasy teams. But it's one of those deals where Big Ben knows where his bread is buttered, and Matt Ryan's trying to be a kind of a complete quarterback where he's spreading the ball around. That's why you see Mohamed Sanu. That's why you see Hooper, their tight end. Sometimes their running backs get into it, and Taylor Gabriel get the ball a ton as well.
Well, I mean, but Big Ben's got Le'Veon Bell, and Juju Smith-Schuster has come to the fore this year. Jesse James scored a touchdown last night. Martavis Bryant even got it. So Ben's spreading the ball around. Both Marshall and Irvin were saying that Todd Haley's just a better offensive coordinator who knows where to put his guys in position and knows what routes to run based on the defense that he's seeing out there that's being called.
Well, I'll take you back to the Pittsburgh Steelers-Lions game where Big Ben threw a pick, and it was 4 guys covering Antonio Brown. So that's when I say forcing the ball. Sometimes it's good. AB can go over 2 guys and go and get it just like Julio Jones can. But in certain situations, he'll throw some picks sometimes, and then they have to kind of lean on the running game. I thought the Tennessee Titans, though, last night did a great job of kind of limiting Le'Veon Bell and then forcing Big Ben to throw into double coverage. And when you throw those 50-50 balls, sometimes they don't go your way, other times they do. There is, and I feel like Juju Smith-Schuster has opened up some room for Antonio Brown and getting Brian back, even though they're still trying to get him in his groove. He's opening up some room as well. But, again, it comes to the quarterback just trying to force the ball. When you look at I work for the Rams, so when you look at the Rams, Jared Goff doesn't force the ball anyway. He throws it to the open guy, and that's what Matt Ryan's kind of trying to do.
Well, I mean, and Maurice Jones-Drew joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, NFL Networks, and as I mentioned earlier, as he just mentioned, been calling Rams games since they returned to Los Angeles on the local radio. I mean, Goff's throwing to open guys because in many ways they're being schemed open. I mean, what Sean McVay has done is truly remarkable from last year to this. But with their loss to Seattle that happened in Los Angeles, MJD, and you're seeing, what Carson Wentz has done in Philadelphia and Drew Brees being somebody who we've been able to watch for quite some time, people still aren't buying the Rams nationally, I don't think, as a deep, viable threat this year. What makes you think that they are?
Well, I can understand that. The first half of their schedule has been pretty mediocre. But we have to remember they beat Dallas in Dallas when they had seats. They literally threw the game away against the Seahawks. I want to say they moved the ball up and down the field. They had 5 turnovers and still almost won the game at the end. If Cooper Kupp catches the touchdown where he's wide open. And so I feel like, again, when you're talking about a team that's in first place right now, and the Seahawks have been kind of running the league for a while, no one's going to give you credit until you beat the Seahawks in Seattle. So we've been saying this all along, like, all this is great, and we have a tough test this week against the Vikings where a Vikings defense is playing really well, and then Case Keenum's playing well, and they're running the ball, and there's some really good things going on. But in order for the Rams to be where they want to be, they have to win, I want to say, that Week 13 or 14 game in Seattle. You beat them in Seattle, then you get the crown and you become the king, and then you get all the recognition that you want.
Well, I mean, they first up have a week. It's incredible. I mean, the Rams are going to earn it if they do make it to the playoffs, and I think they're going to make it to the playoffs if they do win the division or even a bye week, because on their schedule are all 3 current other division leaders and Seattle still left on it because they've got home games against the Saints and the Eagles on top of it all. Which is the best team that you've seen in person this year, Maurice?
The best team I think they faced to this point, it's probably going to be the Dallas Cowboys in the first half. I thought they played, one of those games where Zeke was running all over them.
You saw Jacksonville in person. What about them now that they're half game in first place in their division?
we understand Jacksonville's phenomenal, first and foremost. The way they built that defense, I got to give credit to Gus Bradley and Dave Caldwell for building a defense that is, arguably one of the best in league history and what they're doing right now. I think they're averaging less than 14 points a game or something like that. It's something crazy. But the Jags are good, but if you stop their running game, you make them one-dimensional, they're easier to beat. I think when you play the Cowboys, you could try to stop their running game, but you still have Dez Bryant on the outside. You still have some Jason Witten. You still have Dak Prescott who could beat you with his legs as well. So the Jags are playing better, and I think the reason they're playing better is because Blake Bortles isn't turning the ball over. But that game after, I want to say, Leonard Fournette had that big run, their defense kind of settled in and really limited the Jags' offense to a couple first downs in the second half. So I think the thing about the Rams that people are starting to see it a little bit, Rich, is that they're a complete team. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball, they can play solid defense. They're number one in special teams, and that's what's going to win them games. You talk about that Jacksonville Jaguars game where Farrell Cooper returns a kickoff return to start the game off and gives them a chance to score, and then punt. Then they block a punt and then score as well. So they're finding ways to win, and they have a team that's, they utilize each other. There's not one side more dominant than others.
Couple more minutes with Maurice Jones-Drew, my buddy from the NFL Network here on the Rich Eisen Show, longtime friend of this program and the podcast before it. Le'Veon Bell last night scores a touchdown. Then they buzz down, and by fractions of an inch, take the touchdown away from him, and Todd Haley calls a play-action pass. Marshall Faulk was sitting in the green room saying, man, I would be pissed off. What do you think, Maurice? What would you do if you had that happen to you?
Well, first of all, I love their celebration after he scored. They're getting back to the old good games, the keep away and things like that. But Marshall hit it right on the head. I would be livid. I mean, I'd be pissed off. I'd have to go to Todd Haley. We'd have to talk after the game. I know we're winning, and that's good and dandy. But you got to feed your workhorse a little bit. Give him a treat here and there, especially if he gets you down to the inch-yard line. And granted, it was a great call, and you knew you were going to score there, but try to give Le'Veon the ball and see if he can get it in himself. I mean, he did a lot of the work getting to that point. So I know where Marshall's coming from. Anytime you're a playmaker, Rich, and you know this, you play one of the guys you work with, Irv, is the playmaker,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Those guys want the rock. And, you could ask Mooch or any other coach about it. If you get a star player on your team, especially one with the ability of Le'Veon Bell, who has been very quiet, because he's still on his franchise tag, and you haven't heard much from him. He's been a great model citizen, and we call in the league a team player. I would literally, you'd want to go talk to Tyler. Listen, next time we get that situation, let's try to give me the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, right.
How about that?
So you think he did say something to Todd Haley after the game last night, 40-17 win?
No, I don't think he did. We have the same agent. I talked to him last night. Le'Veon was good. Again, they're winning, and he knows there's going to come a point in time when, similar to last year, he's going to get 33, 34, 35 carries in the game, and he's going to score multiple times in that game. So he's being patient. He's just letting everything play out the way it needs to play out.
And did you hear the Big Ben audible during the game last night?
Yeah, dilly. Yeah,
he did the old dilly last night. Right there. Did you ever suggest to your quarterback an audible that then was used? I mean, how do these things come about in meeting rooms and things like that, MJD?
Well, when you're watching your scouting teams, there's certain formations and certain downs and distances that are going to kind of dictate what they want to do. We had a play, I forgot what we called it, but we knew we were playing the Jets my rookie year, and we knew in a certain down and distance they would go a zero blitz. And so what we're going to do is we're going to fake like I was blocking and kind of leak out, and there should be no one there. And I forgot what the name of it was. It might have been called Brown Shoe, just something simple like that.
Why? Because Coughlin had a brown shoe or something like that, or like who?
No, it was just the coaches are like, we can call this play anything we want, and Brown Shoe just seems like the most simplest thing to do, and we call it, and it worked, right? So it's just funny. I mean, you can use anything. I think he was saying dilly is to hurry up. To be honest, that's similar to like Peyton Manning's Omaha.
Okay.
Or some of these other guys are saying turbo or ready or whatever it may be.
But you didn't, I mean, I'm just wondering what the genesis of this is. You never made a suggestion like, hey, I'd like to give a shout out to my bud or my favorite TV show, my favorite movie. You never did anything like that, MGD?
When you're the running back, you rarely get any say-so in those type of decisions. That's normally the quarterback, the OC, and the quarterback coach.
So this is Big Ben who likes the commercial, basically. Is that what it is?
Pretty much. He's telling you. He's giving him a shout-out. Probably has a sponsorship deal or something. You never know.
Never know with these quarterbacks. All right, MJD, enjoy the game in Minnesota. It's going to be a big one. We'll be all watching and listening.
Rich, it's going to be 20-something degrees outside. You know, I'm from California. I'm not built for all that.
You see Juju Smith-Schuster from Long Beach Poly by way of USC came out without sleeves during the postgame last night?
He's trying to be a tough guy. He's trying to be a tough guy. At UCLA, we're smarter than that. We don't have to show that we're tough. We'll just outsmart you. And that's why the Bruins will win this week.
Well, I was about to say, break it down for me. Darnold versus Rosen. What happens this weekend?
I say Darnold throws about 3 picks. UCLA finally will stop the run this week. Darnold will throw 3, forcing their double coverage. Josh Rosen run that pro-style offense.
Okay.
Will do a great job of just dissecting this defense, and it'll be a good game, but we'll win by, let's say, 12 points.
So the game's not in China, is it, MJD? Right? UCLA's not. That's not happening.
I plead the fifth on that.
Is it too soon? Tell me if it's too soon. Is it too soon?
No, it's never too soon. It's never too soon. I feel like they did a great job at their press conference.
Okay.
Really admitting their faults, and then we just have to move on. But I choose not to because I'm a big Baller Brand fan.
Are you?
If LeVar is listening, I just need a shirt or a hat or something so I can represent.
Dilly. Well done, MJD. We'll chat soon.
I appreciate it.
You got it. There's Maurice Jones-Drew.
That's great.
Dilly.
Dilly.
For more Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Rich Eisen Show app.